Have you ever had a TV series experience that was so good it just left you dumbfounded? A better experience instead of going to the movie theaters where you need to take out a loan to go out with your family just for an evening. You can stay in and watch My Future Ex-Wife instead and Landman Season 2 Mr. Sinister's mashup. Thank you all, and I hope you enjoy.
Landman Episode 1.
Away and throw it against the fucking wall?
You can have my plate.
Oh, can I?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you, Tommy.
We are back here for Landman Season 2, Episode 1. I want to thank all of you that have joined me through all my recaps that I've done of Season 1 so far. That leads us to the ultimate question. Does Season 2, Episode 1 mash up to the excellence that was Season 1? And I'm very happy to report, absolutely it does.
Let's have some Bible.
Well, let's pick up where we left off. We last seen our old friend Monty here in the hospital. When, if you're wondering if Monty made it out of this one after having a heart attack, well, no. Monty's dead. He's gone. So what happens now when you're the wife of a multi-billionaire oil tycoon? Well, you're going to be taking over the reins now. Everything that Monty had is on his wife's shoulders. She had to make a statement. She had to make a moment, especially for these two little twits that she had to deal with in the bathroom. I'll give it to you girls, you ladies can be fucking bitches to each other. And honestly, it's nice to see. Tommy is still dealing and adjusting to his new promotion, but also, now with the new weight that he's going to be bearing, he's going to have to help Bonnie's wife out. Let me know in the comment section below, what did you think of Landman Season 2, Episode 1? That's going to bring us back to one of my favorite characters, Cooper. If you remember Cooper, when the last time we saw him, he was still adjusting to his new relationship and dealing with all of this land that he decided to buy with it. This dude's life has fucking sucked on so many levels. He's been beaten up, blown up, then he was damn near kidnapped and beaten in his own trailer. Nothing is ever good for Cooper. Nothing ever stays nice for Cooper. So at this point, something's going to be happening to him. And I don't make the rules, but if this bitch breaks Cooper's heart, she just needs to die. Ainsley thinks she's going to do well in college. Look, I know she's not going to be my most favorite character. And if you recall from my recap of Season 1, yeah, she's definitely a potato. Not to mention her mother can be also. But I think that goes back to Taylor Sheridan's bigger picture. Every person in this show has a purpose. And one of the biggest things that we're going to be understanding is that they all play a pivotal role in Tommy's life. For better and definitely for worse. Speaking of worse, this would not be Landman if there was not a violent breakdown over a family dinner. For some reason, Tommy decides to lose his shit, rightfully so, after she's decided to spend thousands of dollars on a fucking mushroom. Ladies, there is no way you can convince me otherwise that it was worth it. Sorry, not buying it. So, Monty is dead. His wife is the boss. Cooper's going to be a multi-millionaire. His new girlfriend doesn't know how to handle it. Thing 1 and thing 2 both have daddy issues. Oh, and Tommy's dad is Sam Elliott. That's going to be one of the biggest things that we never thought we would realize or understand. Sam Elliott is TL, who is Tommy's father. Why was this never mentioned before? What happened to him? Why is he in an old folks home and not staying with his son? Oh, come on. This is Landman. There's going to be bigger issues ahead than that. It's going to be finding out that TL, Tommy's father, and now realizing that Tommy's mother, his wife, is dead. What the fuck? Let me know in the comment section below, what do you think happened with Tommy and his father? All he wanted to do was watch the sunset. Something tells me when he got the news, he broke down, obviously, because I think that's something him and his wife used to do, but she is not in the same group home that he was. There are so many unanswered questions that we are going to be looking forward to in Landman Season 2, and I cannot honestly wait. There's just one thing missing.
We've been looking everywhere for you.
Thank you all so much for watching, and as always, until we meet again.
Landman Episode 2.
She spent $40 million drilling holes in the ground, not having a fucking clue what's underneath.
Let's have some Bible.
If that is not some fatherly advice, I do not know what is. It appears that Cooper is continuing to get himself in the same amount of shenanigans that he usually gets himself into. Like I said in my last videos, and there's even other ones, this guy just doesn't know what a break is. Let us find out why Sins of the Father has taken over for Landman Episode 2. But before we get there, if you've enjoyed the Landman content so far, which a lot of you have, and I greatly appreciate it, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button where I'll be doing weekly breakdowns of Landman. For all the money that Cooper has invested in these drilling sites, he has hit the big shots. He knows that he is going to be taking in now millions and millions of dollars. This is something that he never expected. He wants to talk to his father about this. He wants him to be proud of him and his own wealth that he's now making. But after he was able to drill so far and the oil shot out that much, it's like what happens when people see Sydney Sweeney in a dress. But like I said in my last episode of Landman, Cooper is not going to be able to hold everything together because let's face it, nothing ever does. He bought the land, he has the money, he has the vision, he has the dream. He wants to do everything bigger and better without getting blown up, without getting assaulted on a repeatedly daily basis. This is what Cooper has always wanted. But unfortunately, it looks like Cooper is the only one who'd want that. Yes, I know naturally she doesn't want to see Cooper get blown the hell up. Let's face it, none of us do. But after having his new dreams and visions of a bigger house, a bigger truck, this is just not going to be meant for her. She loves the simple, small, quaint little house that she's always lived in. So what happens now after Cooper decides he's going to be almost doubling his success that he just now discovered? He's covered in oil, he's tired, he wants to just come home and relax, only to be told that this is not for her, this is not what she wanted, this is not her envisions, and she's just a simple girl. So she decides that this is it, and they are done. You bitch!
How dare you!
And to make matters worse, she wouldn't even let him stay at the house for anything longer than the morning. What do you do when you're making money and you get kicked out of your house? You call bad fucking Santa himself to help you out. There's a lot of things that Taylor Sheridan wrote into Tommy Norris' character, and even as his son Cooper, they have a phenomenal dynamic as a father and son. Sure, it's going to be dirty, it's going to be messy, but there's a lot of heart to it, and honestly, I respect it. While father gets to reunite with his son, let's get mother reunited with her daughter. The amount of fuckery that these two always seem to get into is beyond me. You remember in season 1 when they were going to the old folks' home? Well, now they're back at the old fucks' home, and they're going to be getting these people lit off their fucking minds. Honestly, I see nothing wrong with this. But apparently the health inspectors do. That's because they suck. But when you make the stupid mistake of trying to grab one of them, you're going to get kicked right in the dick practically, and that's exactly what happens. Tommy gets to go coffin shopping. Meanwhile, he finds out his wife kicked somebody in the dick. Speaking of dick, my future ex-wife is going to be having to play fuck around to find out what these lures, because back when the Cooper's rig exploded in season 1, it left a $400 million deficit that they needed to take care of, as well as payments that need to be taken care of. And apparently Monty, when he was still alive, never got a chance to take care of it. That's going to bring us to an ultimate ending of this episode. You have 3 generations of Coopers now together. Father, son, and the grandfather. There's going to be a ton of friction here, and honestly, you could really understand it. It was always hinted that there was a lot of tension the way that Tommy was raised with his mother, who may have had a severe drug problem as well, accompanied with a possible mental illness. These were a lot of things that really shifted and really worked on Tommy as a child. And seeing how somebody could be raised that way, you look at the way that Tommy is now, it honestly makes a lot of sense that he is the way he is. Let me know in the comment section below, why do you think the title of Landman Episode 2 was called Sins of the Father? One of the things that we have always realized is that the end is never truly the end in Landman. If one of the things we didn't talk about yet is that what happened the way Cooper made his deal to get those oil rigs. Well, it turns out he had to go through a different kind of loan company to get the approval, or even if you want to even call it approval, to get those loans. Meanwhile, everything has been happening up front on screen for us from what we are seeing, but we did not see in the background is that research was being done, and of course, the loan is always through our favorite little friend. Who do you think from season 1 was pulling the cards the entire time on Tommy? Do you remember when oil rigs were getting blown up? Do you remember when Tommy got captured? All of this had a plan, all of this had a purpose, and led Tommy to one of his hardest events ever. Fucking Andy Garcia himself, a cartel warlord who has been responsible for everything and pulling the strings behind all the work here, is now who his son has his money loaned to. Out of everything that Cooper has gone through throughout the entirety of season 1 and still now season 2, now you can add on having his money laundered through the cartel. I mean, Jesus fuck, man, you want to give this kid a fucking break for once in his life? He was so proud to tell his dad his money strategy, and he had some business questions, and yes, he had some lady questions. But now we have the Norris family tree complete, and now we know who is pulling the string on Cooper's oil rigs and what's going to be happening because of it. And it's not going to be good. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe. If you didn't enjoy this video, I thank you all so much for watching. And as always, until we meet again.
Landman Episode 3.
Time you take a fucking breath, you owe me. That thing I spared you from, I can give it back anytime I want.
Let's have some Bible.
I know I'm late to the party on this Landman episode, but I do thank all of you for sticking around with me so far. Things for Tommy just do not seem to get any better. If anything went good for Tommy, we would be wondering what Taylor Sheridan was thinking. We learned that his dad's an asshole, his mom is dead, and his son's in deep with a loan shark now who almost killed him. Typical Tommy Norris behavior, right? Right, Tommy Norris is now going to be dealing with a lot more things when all of a sudden he has a late dinner party, but we're going to get to that in a minute. He still needs to address some issues with Cooper as well. But what's going to be happening when all of a sudden things in the beginning are not always going to be what they appear? Things with late dinner parties, bad meetings, money laundering issues, and a potential to have your whole business destroyed. But before any of that tomfoolery decides to start, you're going to be opening up this episode with some people going down for a little bit of a hunt. But it turns out more than a few things are going to be going down. We're probably going to blame this stuff on a certain kind of virus, huh? But then this is actually going to be caused by a certain kind of hydrogen and a special kind of acid as well that's going to be leaking from the spout. And that shit is deadly as fuck. But the rest of the guys, once they're able to find out what happens, are able to have their monitors go off on their uniforms and they know need to get the hell out of there. But will all of them escape? The only thing that we're going to be trying to escape right now is Ariana, who is able to live on her own now after not being with Cooper anymore. She needs money. She needs a source of income. But how's Ariana going to do with this? This is not something she's always going to be used to, dealing with these rich oil fatigues. But once one rich oil asshole decides to take things a little bit too far, she decides to give him a piece of her mind. But someone who's not going to be getting a piece of mind is Tommy, because his wife decided to go on her own looking at a house. She sees the new money that her husband is making and now wants a bigger, more beautiful house. Shocking, I know. I'm sure after you saw the thumbnail and if you saw the episode, you know why Tommy sticked around with her. But one thing that's not going to be sticking around is the money that Monty had in his business for the trust funds. Sure, the girls and his wife are supposed to be taken care of, but it is bleeding money. Monty, who's supposed to be a multi-billionaire, was not always good with his assets, as it would seem. Does Demi Moore age at all? Jesus Christ. But one thing they're going to be able to do is track down the one accountant who's in charge of the distribution of all the M-Tex assets. And if you know anything about Tommy and everyone else there, they're going to have a nice, respectful, quiet conversation until he decides to beat him over the head with a beer bottle.
Fucking whoops.
After Tommy decides to have a nice, quiet, peaceful protest of a conversation, I think the guy finally gets his point across. But these are the things that we've always seen with Tommy. He needs to know where the assets are, why the money is being bled out, and why the distribution of all these accounts are working. But things go horribly awry now. All Tommy wants to do is leave, but instead he's got to deal with this asshole again. All Tommy wants to do is leave, but of course his wife has a great ability to just show up and make things worse. But now the meeting of the minds have started, and now his wife is there, and of course the pumpkin spice is just flowing out of these two like they're best friends from sorority college. And let's face it, we knew what they were doing in college. What is she going to do now? She is not over the death of her late husband. She's having hard times even processing it. What do you expect this woman to do? What do you expect anyone to do when your late husband is gone? The company that you now inherited left with is bleeding millions of dollars. You have the attention of millions of people now, everyone working for you, trying to figure out if somebody's going to be betraying you or if you can make a potentially savvy business call. These are things that Landman is still continuing to show us. I would like to say that Landman Season 2 is still off to a very good start. At this point, though, I do have to say they do need to spice things up a little bit more with some of the story that we're seeing. Season 1 at this point was great. It was absolutely incredible and great cinema. Season 2 is off to a good start still, but it's having a hard time finding the magic that was Season 1. I think that we still just need to give this a little bit more time, and even though I am enjoying thoroughly what I'm seeing so far, what we're seeing about the business of the oil industry, that's probably one of the most interesting parts I've seen alone. Let me know in the comment section below, what are you thinking of Landman Season 2 so far? Are you enjoying this or Season 1 more? If you've enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe. If you did enjoy this video, I thank you all so much for watching. And, as always, until we meet again.
Landman Episode 4.
Landman is continuing to show us many different things we've never seen about the oil industry. You learn a lot about the snakes that are out there that are really your enemies and not your friends. You learn that family is going to be ruined and separated. You learn that the stress could kill you and ultimately ruin the lives of everyone that you came into contact with. When you look at everything collectively that Landman has shown us so far, it's just go, whoa! Let's have some violence. Oh, we're going to get to my future ex-wife in a minute. Stay tuned for that. But with what we're seeing from Landman so far, on a serious note, especially with this episode, is really the backstory of what happened with Tommy and his mother, as well as another family member that we've never learned of. And you're going to understand why TL and Tommy have the relationship that they do. But before we get into that, if you could hit the like and subscribe button if you want to see more Landman content on my channel, I greatly appreciate it. But if you think things are going to be getting better for Cooper at this point, well, you just might be in luck. You're going to find out why Tommy is having the relationship with his father. Even at his mother's funeral, you can cut the tension with a knife. One of the more common deaths that we have seen in this episode so far is what happening to Monty's wife. She is learning that she is not able to do this on her own and is dealing with all the emotions. And honestly, it just looks fucking painful. When you're the wife of a multi-billionaire and he all of a sudden passes away, you are left thinking and contemplating everything, every decision, every action, every moment together, and honestly, you can never just get a moment's peace. One of the things that she is trying to deal with is understanding that she still obviously loves her husband dearly, but wants to understand why and how everything happened. And one of the worst parts is that she is never going to get those answers. That brings us to one of the more honestly tragic or painful moments that you're going to see from Landman is the death of Tommy's mother. What kind of life did this woman live? What was it about her? What was it about family that was making it so goddamn fucking difficult? When everything is all said and done, as Tommy's mother is in the ground, the family decides to get together for one last meal before they leave. But they just couldn't ignore the attention from the funeral. So much pain was around everybody in this episode, and finally it just comes to a head. All she did is just make a simple comment about who she was and why no one was talking about her. And the answer that she got was very, very surprising. You only understand this because if you've known anything about Ariana when you watch the show, she is very dedicated on family. Why? Because her husband got blown the hell up. So naturally she's going to be. So what was it that divided this family so hard? Well, there's actually going to be two parts to this. TL first met his wife decades and decades and decades ago and thought that she was just the most beautiful thing in the world, even back to a time when they first were looking at rainbows together. You find out the very painful truth that she was a severe drunk. So bad to the point that she decided to just John Wick Tommy in the face when he was just a little kid. How could a mother cause so much pain to her own child? She is a young mother, so this is going to affect her very differently. And honestly, it's going to affect her a lot harder. Tommy was able to bring his own mother back to life, and she just kicked him so hard in the face. She broke his nose. What kind of mother does that? He did what any 14-year-old would do, mostly in those cases. He packed his bags and he got the fuck out of there and never looked back. He blamed his father in a lot of ways for staying with Dorothy. Tommy knew and flat out called his father a coward because he knew that he never had the strength or the muster to deal with Dorothy and all of her problems. TL would work on job sites for almost the better part of a year because he was so afraid of his wife he did not even want to come home. He saved his mother's life, he thinks his father's a coward, and now you honestly understand why Tommy is the way he is. And honestly, it makes a lot of sense. I wouldn't be fucking normal either. And let's face it, I'm not fucking normal now. Let me know in the comment section below. Are you enjoying Landman Season 2 so far? What have you thought? Is it better than Season 1? Now this might be a little understanding why TL enjoyed the sunsets a lot more. He always enjoyed this stuff with his wife. The rainbows, the views, everything is still hitting this man all at once, and he doesn't know what to do. But good for Tommy's wife, she always knows to do it. That's making things fucking worse. So she decides to do the right thing, honestly, or the wrong thing, and lets him move in. This goes over about as well as you would fucking think it would. Speaking about going over and soon to be going in, my future ex-wife decides to get a little too saucy while she's on a plane. And when you take somebody that looks like this against somebody that looks like that, they're going to be clapping some cheeks. And clapping, they did. But Taylor, in case you ever see this video, if you, Mr. Sheridan, ever need to stand in for this scene or, you know, this one again, I would love to volunteer my services. Cooper's still trying to fix and mend things with Ariana. It's not easy. He's still trying to figure out what he did, so he decides to do the right thing and just sleep outside of her house. But it actually looks like it goes to a very end with them, and they're able to rekindle and restart some of their friendships and even their relationships. But one friendship and one relationship that we are very scared about, these two knuckleheads right here. I do not see anything good coming with those two as a partnership. Even though that she is in debt $400 million, she decides to go to this asshole and get the money? No. Tommy decides that it's time to go get his father and honestly bring him home. TL is very surprised about this, despite everything that Tommy's thought about him, what Tommy has said to him, everything with his mother. He agrees to come home with his son. But once Tommy decides to get home, he sees Ainsley crying on the couch and reveals the darkest truth that no one has ever known about Tommy yet. Tommy was not an only child. Tommy had a little sister who died, unfortunately, of SIDS. And if you don't know what SIDS is, it's sudden infant death syndrome. This sent Tommy's mother, Dorothy, into a tailspin, and she lost control of everything, fell weak to alcohol, drugs, and didn't know how to deal with it, and destroyed the entire family. TL left because he couldn't deal with the alcohol, the drugs, the abuse, anything. Tommy left, only trying to resurrect his mother back from the dead, only to have her succumb to all of her demons and kick Tommy in the face, breaking his nose. And now she lost her son. Her daughter was already gone. She went after her husband, fell loose to her demons, and ultimately, as I said before, it just ruined everything for that family. Tommy losing his little sister, mother losing her daughter, a husband lost his wife. It's just everything that throws this show together. And honestly, it makes a lot of sense the way Tommy is the way he is, and even why TL is the way he is. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe. If you didn't enjoy this video, I thank you all so much for watching. And, as always, until we meet again.
Landman Episode 5.
Embezzlement, insurance fraud, wire fraud.
Cami's name is on everything.
Let's have some Bible.
Now, I know when it came down to Landman Season 2, Episode 5, I was excited. That promotional trailer that they just played looks great, doesn't it? Looks epic, looks fun, looks like there's going to be a bunch of shenanigans going on in this episode. Well, no, there's not. Tommy's not going to be able to get a break from anything at this point. If it's not dealing with things with his daughter, with his father, with their usual shenanigans, him trying to come around with his boss now that he's not seeing eye to eye with. She thinks she can do whatever she wants now at this point. And yes, as the CEO of this company, yes, you do have a certain amount of power and a certain amount of rules. But when you have everyone in the room telling you that there's a problem, you should probably freaking listen. One of her biggest issues is that she is not over the sudden death of her husband. I know she's taking it very hard, but this bitch needs to learn that she has responsibilities, then she's still got to keep moving. As much as I love Taylor Sheridan and a lot of his work, this is going to be a filler episode. Tommy's still got to be dealing with Cooper in the contract, still got to deal with this big asshole right here. Speaking of big assholes, I had to finish up my Stranger Things review, so I know I'm late on this review, but I appreciate all of you still watching me along the way.
I don't like girls. Send him 2-3 years Dagestan and forget.
But what we can't forget about here is still that Tommy's going to still be working in Cooper's corner, even though he understands that he really screwed up the pooch big time when it comes to his contract negotiations. He understands that he is still a father and still has to find ways to work with him and now with his boss also to get this money, but also help protect his freaking kid. Let me know in the comment section below, how do you think that this business deal is going to go down? She's trying to get a partnership across to get this $400 million. I just don't think it's going to work out right. Speaking of things that just seem to never work out right, this would not be a Landman episode if there was not going to be another family dinner. Yes, I can understand that these two definitely have a pirate theme set up for the dinner, but Jesus Christ, this is going to be one of the things that honestly I didn't like for the family dinner episodes. Usually Tommy just likes to stick his nose up and wasn't even going to entertain the idea of a pirate themed dinner, and he thought, no, this is not even going to be good. But honestly, we see some things about Tommy that still he just decides to enjoy. These are some of the things that we never thought we were going to be seeing from Tommy Norris himself. Him enjoying family time, him, even though he does have his issues, he does love his family. His boss, that's a different story. She went from being a wife to the CEO of a multi-billion-dollar oil industry, and now she is not even listening to the guy who's been doing it for about 40 years. But fine there, sweetheart. If you want to try and give the guy who's head of the cartel right now $400 million to have him loan you that money and think that everything is going to be fine, even after Tommy has warned you, go for it. I just don't think anything is going to be good at coming this. This was an episode full of meetings, and don't get me wrong, I know Taylor Sheridan does and can still do great work, but honestly, nothing really happened in this episode except meetings. Now, I'm not going to take a complete dump on this episode. There were some things that were just, I'll say for lack of a better word, nice. Tommy is learning, even though after everything he has been through with his father, that TL is still just trying to rekindle that magic he had with his son decades and decades ago that he lost after the tragic death of the mother. And also learning recently that it wasn't just his mother, that there was a young daughter as well. Tommy did have a little sister. Both TL and Tommy know that they need to take everything with their quote-unquote newfound relationship very soft and definitely with kid gloves. You're gonna need a lot more and something a lot better with kid gloves when you find your father's gonna be at a retirement home that he was pretty much forced in after hating his life only to be able to smile again. Yeah, alright, not bad. Meeting of the Minds is still going to be continuing in this episode, but what's drawing a lot of people towards Landman, and honestly I can understand, is Cooper, and with Cooper comes Ariana. Cooper is doing the old school thing, as honestly I think every man should do. You need to ask her father's permission first. Don't be a pussy, guys. This absolute Chad right here was already well aware of Cooper's proposal to his own daughter, and honestly wanted to see if he was just gonna have the cajones to do it. Tommy has some big old cajones right here because he decides to leave Ariana a nice $200 tip. Well, bitch, if you're not going to take it, I will. Shit. But Tommy did do this because he wanted Ariana to know that he is looking out for her and is going to be having her best interest at hand, as well as his own son. Oh, look, these two are back at the old fuck's home again.
Oh, this is not how this
was supposed to go.
Look, I get it. These two are trying to do something nice for old people, but now she even has to make it about herself. Anytime these guys go back to the old folks home, it just feels cheesy. It just feels corny. You could have taken the entire old folks home out of the entire season and nothing would have changed at all. The only old folks home that you should have went to is the one to go get TL. Everything that we're seeing about Landman season 2 so far seems to be a setup for the next episode, for a setup to a setup to a setup. Don't get me wrong, there are a lot of things that I admire about Taylor Sheridan. He's done a lot of great things, and some of his work that I've seen is incredible. But Landman season 2 seems to be struggling a little bit compared to season 1. When it comes down to having a secondary season of a great season 1 of almost any show or even sequel, it's generally not always going to be as good as the first one. And that's what we're seeing with Landman so far. Landman season 2 is not shaping up to be as good as Landman season 1, but we're not even halfway done or damn near close of what we're going to be seeing for the penultimate episode that's going to be coming from Landman. There's still much more to go. Am I still very optimistic about that show? Yes, I am. I still do very much enjoy it. Not every day is going to be a good day at the office. But if you enjoyed this Landman content and you enjoyed some of my other work, I greatly do appreciate it. If you enjoyed what you heard, please like, share, and subscribe. If you didn't enjoy it, I thank you all so much for watching. And as always, until we meet again.
Landman episode 6.
Well, here we are again. Another episode of Landman. Another week has passed. We're going to be on the same rough little tidal wave that we were on last week. This is going to be the episode of talking.
Let's have some Bible.
Ah, yes, don't let the thumbnail sway you. Rebecca is certainly going to be getting into some hot water on this one. But I just think everyone needs to calm down about that part. What's going to be happening in Landman so far at this point? Yeah, like I said, people are going to be freaking talking their asses off. Tommy's going to be talking. His boss is going to be talking. Their boss's new best friend is going to be talking. Everyone's going to be talking. Going up against Dan Morrell is going to be one of the more interesting things. Along with him and Tammy, Tommy is still going to be trying to figure out where he fits in this little relationship that they have. He's trying to look out for her best interest, but he also knows this guy's a giant dick. The tension with these two has been brewing for a while now at this point, and only Tom is going to be the one that's going to be able to make the right decision. Help out his new boss, his buddy's now widowed wife, or is he going to have to look out for his own self-interest? Speaking of his own self-interest, Tom is going to be having a hard time, even with his dad right now, understanding how everything happened with his mother, his now deceased wife. TL is going to be dealing with a lot in this episode, and of course, Tom is going to be talking to him about it much more. Let me know in the comment section below, if that was your son with Tommy and TL, do you expect them to have a good relationship? Would you, if you were TL, take your son's hand if he offered it out to you? Cooper's now going to be still one of the biggest driving forces in Landman, especially in season 2 now at this point. Cooper's going to even be talking to his mother at this point, and especially on the ring to give Ariana on their wedding day. It's going to carry a lot of sentimental value, and honestly, that was probably the only good part about this episode that I truly did like. I really thought that they were going to be setting up Cooper like the way they did at the end of season 1, that one day he was going to be going up against Tommy. Battling of the oil bastards is how I thought it was going to go. But speaking of bastards, Rebecca was always the uptight person, the high executive lawyer for the oil industry, and once she starts cutting back and getting a little bit of a sauce in her, she becomes a little bit of a hussy. And let's face it, this girl needs to unwind a little bit more. She's been so uptight ever since she got on that plane with this little asshole right here. She might actually be settling down a little bit, might actually really like this guy, and even develop into a good relationship. Let's face it, if things work out with Rebecca in the long run, and it actually turns into something good for her, I think I'm gonna wish this girl the best on it. Let's face it, this bitch fucking needs it. And let's face it, there are also a few issues that we might see about the conflict of interest part that, let's face it, don't be shy about it. Everyone at this point, it's happened before. You've done something with a coworker, and if you think about, is he talking to me? Yes, I'm talking to you right now. Speaking of people that just don't know how to do enough talking, or too goddamn much, Angela is still going to be going on 50, still thinking that she's in her early to mid 20s at this point. Tom is just going through it, but we all know why he puts up with it. That is a whole lot of hotness with a whole lot of crazy. Maybe it feels like a complete different direction from where Taylor Sheridan decided to go from season 1 to season 2. Do you think that is correct? There was a lot of setup between season 1, and a lot of it did not get seen so far in season 2. I know we are not done with the season yet, and I know I'm still behind on a few episodes, but it feels like we are still missing a lot of pieces to the puzzle that was already showed to us. And yes, I know that can seem pretty negative from my perspective, but honestly still, this is still a good season, but it's definitely a step down from season 1. Now, what I would like to see is eventually, hopefully, some good setup, which I think that we still maybe even get. If we can see Tammy have to take on Tommy and these two go at it, that's something I think is going to be very, interesting. I mean, honestly, let's face it, if this bitch tries, she has little to no money, if anything, left all in her former husband's multi-billion-dollar industry. She's just gonna have her new little friend here. Tommy has the experience and the balls. Let me know in the comment section below, what did you think about Landman Season 1 compared to Landman Season 2? What did you prefer? These two, again, are just honestly getting annoying at this point. They're not really honestly adding anything or much at all to the plot now of Landman. What I do think is going to be happening, though, is even though this is going to be a downward slump that we're in at this point, I think towards the end of the season, a little bit before the finale, we're going to get some payoff on some really big things with these characters. It's something that we're going to have to wait around and honestly just wait and see. I know Taylor Sheridan can do some pretty good fucking work. His work generally is pretty good for the most part. Sometimes he might have a bad day at the office, but yeah, this is just definitely a bit of a downward spiral at this point. But if you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe. And if you didn't enjoy this video, I thank you all so much for watching. And as always, until we meet again.
Landman episode 7, 8, and 9.
I had sex with one of your geologists.
Okay. What do you want me to say? Nice job, way to go. How was it? What are you looking for here?
Let's have some Bible.
Rebecca has been filled with a lot of depth this season so far, shall we say. And I gotta say, I get it. This girl is so wound up with everything, she deserves to cut back and relax for a little bit. But are these spicy shenanigans going to make Season 2 better for Landman? Well, no. We've had the talking episode, we've had the meeting episode, and now this is going to be the eating episode of Landman Season 2. Don't get me wrong, it's nice to see Boss get what he deserves after celebrating his bonus. The guy gets a nice Rolex, and I'm going to give the man credit for that. Boss is a pretty good character. All these things that we are seeing so far in Season 2, and especially in Episode 7, this is just going to be a lot of building and exposition. And look, oh, more eating. Yeah, I know, so far, but Landman, you know, some things could, just turn around. Oh, motherfucker! So, anyways, Landman so far for Season 2, Episode 7. We're going to be getting these two back again, but honestly, it's going to be nice to see her keep her word and give her son the ring that he can give to Ariana. You can have the build-up in these episodes as much as you want, but there needs to be some payoff, and honestly, just that little moment right there where you're able to see Cooper really be happy and honestly be excited, I think that's something that the kid just fucking deserves at this point. Speaking of what someone deserves, Nate decides to go after Tommy's favorite little litigator after she's told, hey, you can't fuck your co-workers. Fucking prude. Nate's being a giant cockblock this season. God damn, man. But Tommy doesn't really care. As long as the job gets done, everything's fine. Everything's fine. Now that these two are out of the picture temporarily, Cooper can focus back on himself and being happy, just like Tommy decides to focus on his dad. And let's face it, if Ariana would have said no to Cooper, I think everybody would have just wanted to throw her off a cliff. But thankfully, this girl says yes, and Cooper is now officially engaged. But Tommy decides to deal with Nate because he says, fuck off, leave her alone. These are going to be one of the things that we are seeing again, that family is still family at the end of the day, and honestly, as mushy as I don't like being, it's a nice thing to see. What the hell's John Hamm been doing since he got killed off on this TV show? He could have made things a little bit more interesting. Alright, let's see what episode 8 has in store for us.
Personally, I prefer the relationship to evolve just a little bit further before I start fucking lying for somebody.
We don't have a relationship. We had sex.
I might as well start calling Rebecca Butter because she's on a roll so far. And we're back with Landman Season 2, Episode 8. I know I had to kind of bunch these last episodes together. I had a lot of projects in the work, and I want to thank everybody that stayed tuned to watch my Ray Park video. Thank you. Appreciate it. So now that your butts are back in your seats, what are we going to be thinking of Landman Episode 8? Well, I mean, there's a good start. So far for Landman Season 2, we can definitely see that there's been less action and a little bit more character development than there has been in Season 1. Tommy decides that Tia, after finding him in the pool in the morning, needs a physical therapist. So he finds a stripper and hires her. I mean, strippers do yoga? I guess? Sure, alright, well, I mean, fuck it, why not? Let's just roll with it. Let's keep going. Tommy and Rebecca are still going to have a lot of work to do when it comes to M-Tex, and even though that there's going to be a 10% chance, they needed to get some better proof. So she brought Discount Gordon Ramsay to sit down with the big boss. Timu Gordon Ramsay was even as direct and honest as he could be, and even though Rebecca didn't like it and they had a little bit of a tizzy, she's still not going to be trusting Tommy and wants to go on her word still and do the drill. But that's not always going to be enough at this point. Tommy needs to sit down with Andy Garcia and figure out what to do. But Cooper is the one who is going to be ultimately saving this episode as well. Tommy decides to put Cooper in charge of those rigs that he bought, and he is going to be calling the shots now. Yeah, when you're the boss's son and now you're just all of a sudden promoted, even though I give Cooper credit for doing some work, this was a lot of luck, but this is also going to be a real big step for Cooper. And this is going to be one of the directions I thought they were honestly going to go with Landman Season 2. Tommy versus his own son in the oil business. Let me know in the comment section below, what do you think about Dan Morel's true intentions that is going to be happening so far? We know that this guy's an asshole and he's in it for the money, but do you think he has something more sinister in tail? Cooper has certainly got his fair share of shine in Landman Season 2, but some of it hasn't been compared to Rebecca, who's also been getting a lot now. Timu Gordon Ramsay pretty much tells her if you don't knock your shit off, you're going to be a lonely, nasty bitch by yourself. And honestly, he's right. She needs to chill the hell out. I know, especially at this point, the show's pretty much done. The finale is going to be out by the time I upload this video. And honestly, I know it's probably still going to be a step down from Season 1, but maybe in the finale, we can get some pretty good payoff now. Let's see what happens in Landman Episode 9.
So, what are your pronouns?
My pronouns? Well, I would hope that's pretty clear.
Looks like meat's back on the menu, boys!
I use they, them.
Because there's just one of you, and those are plural pronouns. Just never really understood the hoopla of pronouns.
Oh, that was fucking hilarious. I know that's going to trigger quite a few of you in the comment section, but honestly, that's the shit that I just find entertaining and fucking amusing. Alright, Landman Episode 9, let's get into this bitch. Alright, so I know, like I said, I'm a little bit behind by the time this video gets out, but yep, Tommy gets fucking fired. Look, I think we all knew that that could have been a possibility, but she wanted to take the company a direction where she didn't want her new president to be somebody that could burst the bubble over production. She wants to move everything in a very high-speed direction because M-Tex is in the whole $400 million fucking dollars, and even though she's in deep with the loan sharks, Tommy's trying to look out for her best interest. And now Dan's going to be finding out that Tommy is out of the picture, but the exposition and honestly a lot of the buildup, I think this is where it finally just paid off. Not like the pronouns though, but the only thing that's not going to be paying off, and I think one of the penultimate things to remember, is that even though there's only a 10% chance where they could be talking about doing this drilling that it actually pays off, Tommy's still sticking to his gut and not trusting it. Let me know in the comment section below, would you bank 10% chance against a $400 million stake? Fucking Christ, man. Speaking about Christ, that's who's gonna be needed because Cooper decided to lay the fucking smackdown on the asshole who decided to go after Ariana earlier and just ended up going to the bar to surprise her, and then only to show up and see some Jeffrey Epstein looking motherfucker putting his hands all over your missus. What are you going to do? Get him! And that's exactly what Cooper did. He walks back, he's in a no fuck around mood, picks up this guy and just John Wicks him and beats the fucking piss out of him. That's character development. This is one of the best things that we've seen that Taylor Sheridan did with writing his characters is Cooper, a skinny, stickly little kid who just wanted to follow in his dad's footsteps. Gets beaten up, blown up multiple times now, assaulted more times than I can change my underwear, falls in love, ends up beating the piss out of the guy. Also, even before that, he's made a lot of money and luckily drill sighting movements. Good job, kid. All right, well, he's still not in the really making money part, but he's doing a good job. I'll give him that. Credit where credit is due on that one. Now, when it comes down to Thing 1 and Thing 2 here, yeah, they've had a lot of exposition so far in this season, and I've given them a raft of shit about it, but getting to see Angela be a very concerning mother when her daughter goes off to school, it's very nice. Not concerning as this fucking thing here, but sure, we'll go with it. I do want to thank all of you very much for joining me on these Tales of Landman Season 1 and Season 2. And if you'd like more content, go ahead and check out my channel. There is plenty of more Landman content and breakdown available. Landman has shown us so much with Cooper. Now he might be in trouble with the law, as it's going to finish off looking at the closed circuit television footage. This is going to be something really intense for Tommy. The guy's got enough on his plate right now. He just got fucking fired. And with the finale just around the corner by the time this gets out, I will let you guys know what I think about it. But this was honestly a really good episode. It was fun. It was exciting. It had things that honestly paid off on it. For that, I am grateful. What we've seen so far, I'll be doing a complete episode recap momentarily, as well as a mashup of the entire Season 2. Thank you all so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe. If you did enjoy this video, I thank you all so much for watching. And, as always, until we meet again.
Landman Season 2 finale.
We need to have a conversation.
Look, if you know a good lawyer, you call him.
I need your help.
Let's have some Bible.
Now that the finale of Landman Season 2 is done and over with, I can finally and successfully say,
My, this is stupendous. Wow, what a a great show! Unbelievable!
Briza is absolutely right. The finale of season 2 of Landman was absolutely everything I wanted and was hoping for. Let's dive into this. But if you are new to my channel and you enjoyed my Landman content so far, go ahead and check the links in the description for all of my breakdowns of every Landman episode. And hit that like and subscribe button while you're there. I appreciate it. That being said, I know season 2 for a lot of people is not always what they expected, but honestly, they finished it extremely well. Tommy's going to be seeing everything now through a different pair of glasses. The only thing that's going to be on Tommy's mind right now is obviously after Cooper's assault that took place in the last episode, the guy he pummeled 17 times is dead. Will Cooper get out of it? Will Cooper be facing charges for murder? Will Cooper ever be able to get to that big wedding day with Ariana? Time will tell, and honestly, I don't want to spoil much, but I need you guys to watch this show. Nate does one of the best things that I've ever seen. He says, instead of taking the position as president, which Tammy is going to be offering him, he says, no, I'm done. This is going to be one of the biggest things that Tammy is going to have to take a big freaking reality check on, is that the company was never supposed to surpass Monty's life. It was meant to be sold, not continued. Tommy's not going to take any of this just sitting down. He says, no, I still got one more blast show in me, and he decides to come up with one more final idea to go into business for himself. You can say a lot of things about Tommy Norris. The guy has screwed the pooch on a lot of things and made a ton of huge mistakes in his life, but one thing he will never be mistaken on is the love of his family. And because Tommy loves his family that much, he agrees to go back to the original partnership with Dan for the 50-50 split. But he says, if you fuck me on this deal, I will take everything you love and burn it to the ground. Everything that he loves right now is becoming TCC, his new business venture, TCC and cattle. While Cooper faces his own troubles, he's now going to be able to say, oh yeah, by the way, I got fired and lost my job, but everything's going to be okay. Even when we're seeing everything with Tommy in this season and everything from Landman so far, when the guy is talking to God, he just needs a break, but he's going to come up on a nasty car crash and God's going to give him a little bit of a sign. Is everything going to be okay? Is Tommy going to make it out of this? Is he going to be able to achieve everything that he wants to save his family, his son, and his relationship? Time will tell. But you just need to watch the finale for the answer. Cooper's going to be facing a lot of hard truth in Landman Season 2. With holding a murder charge over his head, he's going to need the best lawyer possible. And who else could they bring in but my future ex-wife, Rebecca? And she absolutely destroys everyone in that room, and she does what she does best.
You go after that kid for saving his fiance's life?
This is the Rebecca that we get finally again back when we had season 1, when she felt like she really had to prove herself, and this girl just comes in and fucks everything up in the best way possible.
This is Mr. Norris's attorney.
The one you failed to notify before questioning my client?
All right, you know what? Screw it. This show's been out for like 3 weeks now, and the finale's over, so
I could go into heavy detail, and I will. And I will go into heavy detail.
Yeah, Cooper gets the charges dropped. Tommy comes in, does what Tommy does best, sits down with the lawyers, the chief of police, the detectives, does his thing, and gets all of the charges dropped. Because not only did this guy die after being struck 17 times, the cause of death was a heart attack. And I dare to challenge any of you, if you see your fiance being raped in an alleyway by a complete piece of shit, what are you going to do? Exactly. Tommy finally finds himself a few moments to sit down and explain with Angela that he does understand everything about her and that she truly wants the simple things to make every moment feel like a memory. And that's one of the biggest things that we get to see about Tommy. Even though he has a rough grit exterior, much like myself, this guy is a really loving person with the right people. But he will absolutely burn your world to the ground if he has to. And when you want your show to end on the best note possible, you want that to be with the finale. And this is absolutely what they did. He took his closest friends, his best workers, and gave them all brand new jobs with raises in his new company. Ariana no longer has to work in a bar. He gets to work with his dad. His son is going to be working right by his side. He's going to be doing a lot of great things. Everyone is just going to be a lot better. And honestly, this is a great reason why I love this show. And honestly, this is why I encourage this show. We needed this kind of show because this is what honestly movie magic should be. But honestly, we're getting better series right now than we are television. And to understand why Tommy labeled his new business TTC, it stands for Tommy, TL, and Cooper. Just another thing that shows how much this guy truly loved his family. Thank you all so much for watching and joining me on this Landman journey. I will be doing a season 2 review momentarily. That'll be out hopefully within the next couple of days, as well as my mashup. Thank you all so much for watching. And as always, until we meet again.